The youngest daughter of a noble house, Morgan's destiny was to be married off to one of the lesser lords of her father's kingdom. But this all changed when she fell into a coma, awakening a week later to find that her family had been wiped out in mysterious circumstances, and that she was now the Queen of Avalon. As she began her rule, Morgan spoke of the dreams she had, of the Fey realm, and the promise of power its creatures had held out to her. Will the drive and ambition of this young woman bind together the tribes and petty kings of Newfoundland, or have the Fae conspired to lead another mortal astray? Welcome, my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and this is my first look at After the End, a mod for CK3 set in a post-apocalyptic Americas, the Americas of the 27th century. Now, the religions and the cultures and the characters and the nations that we see around here are based on the modern Americas, so we might expect to see an Irish American influence in the former United States, especially around Boston, but we do not. There'll be no more St. Patrick's Day parades in New York. We do, however, have a Scots Gael reference here in the Maritimes culture, Gael. And this is Tiramara under the rule of Bonri Caitlin. And I might take a look at her in a future episode, but for now, what we're going to do is push further north to just north of the 60, and here on the tip of Newfoundland, we have Morgan Le Fay of House NaGeira, or NaGeira, or NaGeira. There's a couple of different ways of pronouncing it, and this is a reference to a character, a figure from Newfoundland folklore heavily connected to Ireland, Sheila NaGeira, a Connacht princess. So we'll be learning all about her quite shortly. There was a heavy Irish presence in Newfoundland from as late as 1675. There was a settlement called Ireland's Eye in Trinity Bay, and Irish people would have migrated temporarily to Newfoundland during the fishing season, and there was even the Newfoundland season, which was the start of one summer through to the end of the next summer, and people would have migrated from Ireland to fish and send home money for their family to pay the rent, and in some cases they would have even sent fish home. There are references to salted cod from Newfoundland being used in Ireland to pay the rent. From the mid to late 1700s through to the 1830s, there was more permanent migration, and this meant that a lot of aspects of Irish folklore came across to Newfoundland, and we're going to see how that has impacted the fog song religion of the Newfie people. We are going to start as Morgan Le Fay. So here we begin in the very northeast of Newfoundland, in the very northeast of the Americas, kind of to the north, more so further south than parts of Brazil, with the way the map is tilted, but it makes sense that it's kind of put out in this direction. It would be kind of crazy if the map was orientated that way, but it does mess with your head a small bit, and you have to kind of reorientate it every once in a while if you're looking for specific places, especially in the United States. So here we are in Newfoundland. The first thing we'll do is take a very brief look at our culture. And one of the first things we're going to try to do is unite the Newfie people and take over all of Newfoundland. The parts of our culture I think that are of most interest to us are dexterous fishermen, which makes sense. So we have coastal advantage, supply capacity, coastal sea danger is decreased, and experienced whalers, which unlocks a special decision for us that allows us to sponsor a whale hunt, which gives us a chance of we'll definitely get prestige, and we have a chance of getting money. We have tribal unity. So opinion of liege is -5, house opinion +10. We have some wild hunts, which gives us access to jolly rovers. And as we are tribal, it allows us to raid. So that is going to be very important to us early on. And we can actually see the Gael culture, the Scots Gael culture down here. We have tribal unity again, musical theorists. We have stand and fight. And family business, close family opinions +5. And we can actually see there's Ord Bonri Caitlin of Tiramara. And there's a couple of places down here that have very Irish sounding names. So I know that's Ilan Owen. And there's a couple of other, or I should say Scots Gaelic sounding names. Next, we'll take a look at the Grove of Fog Songs. Now, I will put some... I'll break up the chapters in case you want to skip this part, because we might be here for a few moments. There's a lot to go over. We are an unreformed sea sprayer faith. So this is grown from the roots of the Christian practices that their Canadian ancestors left behind. And we have patron gods, so we can choose from a pantheon of gods. We're going to do that. That's going to be the first thing that Morgan is going to do. And from what I understand, the pantheon that you're given is different depending on your culture. So a Newfie character is going to have different patron gods to select. If they are a fog songer, then a fog songer of the Gael culture. Ritual hospitality. So fog song opinion, generous is a virtue and callous is a sin, and we get piety per powerful vassal on the council, and we actually start off with a vassal, and we have melodic transmissions. Rulers can compose literary works, and makes poet a virtue. And then we have a crazy chunk of stuff down here at the bottom. It's kind of crazy just how much work the devs have put in to all of the religions that they've created. There's a massive chunk of them. So witchcraft is shunned, which is a bit awkward. We'll see why that is in a moment. And if we take a look at our holy sites, they are going to be important to us because we do need, if we want to get out of being tribal, we're going to need to reform. So we control one holy site in St. John's, and then we have another 2 just to the south of us, and it's highly likely that those are the ones that we're going to be going for. And of course, down in Nantucket, it makes sense that a fishing society would worship Nantucket as a holy site. Now, the reason that it's awkward that witchcraft is shunned is because we are a witch. So you'll have seen in the description of Morgan Le Fay that she was basically visited by fey creatures, by the fairies. And so she's effectively a witch, and she can try and promote her witch's coven. She's Amazonian. She's compassionate, ambitious, and wrathful. So, compassionate and wrathful, 2 very contradictory traits, which are going to get us into a lot of trouble. She's 23, she doesn't have an alliance from her husband Claude, but she has 2 children, Lance O'Morgan and Lillian O'Morgan. Now, before unpausing and before even choosing our lifestyle, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at our decisions. We can... one major one that we have is to unite Newfoundland and Labrador. So that's going to be one that we're going to try and get done. We're going to have to push quickly to take all of Newfoundland before it starts causing trouble. We can hold a mystical communion, sponsor a whale hunt, which is quite pricey, so we won't be doing that for a while. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at finding a patron god. And here we have a lengthy list of patrons, and like I said, this would be different if we were of a Scots Gael culture. So we can see here the sacred cod, blessings of the seas. So the sacred cod, also referred to in prayer as holy mackerel, are the most divine of all creatures. And if we were of the Newfie culture, or of the, I should say, the Gael culture, I believe that this would actually be the salmon of knowledge. So you can see here at the top is Jack, King of Ashes, the Old Man of the Sea. I'm not too sure who Jack is. The Old Man of the Sea, a common figure. It's Neptune, actually. The Old Man of the Sea, also known as Neptune. Father Patrick, Serpent Rither. That's rather interesting. A powerful druid and frequent mentor of Jack, Father Patrick sailed to these lands with his wife, Sheila, long ago from the Isle of Emeralds. Commonly worshipped with libations and ritual intoxication, Father Paddy is a popular god who is regularly invoked when driving out heathens due to his act of ridding Newfoundland of snakes. No idea who that could possibly be a reference to. The little fellas, those bastards. So this would be basically fairy stories brought from Ireland and England. We've the sacred cod, Peg Bearskin, the hideous and mighty, so could be The Cailleach could be, there's kind of references to Celtic hags and to folklore associated around hags. The three women in white, deciders of faith, I'm not too sure if this is maybe a reference to the three forms of Sheila, because if we come down here to Sheila NaGeira, the Snowbringer. Sheila NaGeira is widely said to be the wife of Father Patrick, and her rituals share with him the act of ritual intoxication. She is a princess who came to these isles long ago from across the sea. She's the creator of winter storms, and it is she who is said to have given birth to the first of the peoples from across the sea in Newfoundland. So, we've references to a couple of different people here. We have, first of all, Saint Sheila, who was believed to be Saint Patrick's wife. Her feast day was the 18th of March. Apparently, she was popularly venerated in Ireland prior to the famine. But there are many, many references to her veneration in Newfoundland. And there is a weather phenomena known as Sheila's Brush. And this is a weather storm, or I should say a winter storm, a snowstorm prior to St. Patrick's Day that was known as Sheila's Brush. So Sheila was in an argument with St. Patrick and she was brushing the floor. We also have an Irish princess, and this is a reference to Sheila NaGeira. There's legends of a 1600s, 17th century Irish princess from Connacht being kidnapped by pirates and freed, liberated by a man called Pike and brought to Newfoundland, and where she becomes the originator of the Pike family. And there's also, it doesn't kind of appear here, but the third Sheila would be Sheila NaGeig, because one of the translations of Sheila NaGeig is Sheila of the Brush. So the fact that we have Saint Sheila and Sheila's Brush, the weather phenomena, means that these three Sheilas quite often get kind of associated together. So there's some rather interesting aspects brought across from Ireland to Newfoundland, which then took on a life of their own within Newfoundland folklore, and which the devs have worked into the game here. So I'm not too sure is Jack, it's Brother Jack, not Father Jack, Brother Jack, central figure of the folk song pantheon. So with his sacrifice and transformation into a whale during the moratorium is well known. He is said to, he's also revered for many eclectic exploits beforehand too. So apparently, I think the Fogsong people believe that the apocalypse that brought about the conditions that we now have is the moratorium, and this is actually a reference to an event in early 1990s Newfoundland where the Canadian government imposed a fishing moratorium on them, which had massive cultural and economic effects on the region. But I'm not too sure, is Jack a reference to something from Irish folklore, maybe from English folklore, or a pure creation of Newfoundland folklore. Anyway, we need to pick one of these. And to start with, I'm actually going to pick Brother Jack as our patron for that. It's not much, but it's +1 diplomacy, a small bit of intrigue, we have some popular opinion, and stress gain decrease, because like I said, we have two very contradictory traits, which could cause us a bit of trouble. So Jack, King of Ashes, will become our patron, and you will remember that I said Sheila NaGeira married an English captain who saved her from pirates, called Pike. Well, if we look at her parents, here is Garrulus, who was described as Garrulus Power, which would be a very common name that would have come from Ireland. And here is Isolde, her mother of House Pike. Next, we're going to pick our lifestyle, and I'm actually going to go with diplomacy. And for that +3, I'm going to go for foreign affairs. Now, I would like to go for celebrity, but most likely, I think we might need to get a handful of the traits from diplomat to start with. Now, even with the patronage of Brother Jack, we still don't have great diplomacy. It's an 8. We are, however, going to come down to Burren, to Chieftain Seamus, and we're going to try and sway him and see if we can get him to accept vassalization. So the less wars that we need to fight, because this guy out here on this island, which is also part of Avalon, he is of an isolationist culture, so there is not a hope in hell that he is going to accept vassalization. We're going to have to invade that island. Now, under us, we have, in Bonavista, we have Chieftain Kelly O'Leary of the House of Murphy. Remember the death of Paddy. And we have some... I think we have some trouble with these guys. Because... Oh no, I thought he was actually related to the neighbours. Chieftain Tory O'Rory of House Lowry. And Chieftain Jory O'Rory of House Lowry. So they're also Fog Song Newfies. And we're going to head down, we might as well, before we start, down to Chieftess Grace of Cornerbrook. Absolutely fantastic shield. Patrick and Jack be with us. Unfortunately, House Laverty is gone, or Lafferty is gone. So it's House Picot. What we're going to do is, there is Madeline, the daughter of Chieftess Grace. There's Waylon is 9. I thought we might be able to form a good alliance down here. We do need a good alliance. We need to start off. We don't really have any immediate opportunities in the region, so I am going to offer a marriage of our 0-year-old daughter Lillian to Waylon, who is 9, to form an alliance with this house. Because, like I said, we're going to need to move quick. This is kind of crazy. We have 3 units of the Jolly Rovers. Oh, we have 1 unit of Jolly... 2 units of Jolly Rovers, and we have some light footmen. I don't think I want the light footmen. We will destroy, and we will get some bowmen. So we're going to need to move quickly and consolidate some regions. We're hoping to get Seamus to join us peacefully. And for the rest, then, it could very well be a military expansion. So we're going to need some Screechers. What the hell are Screechers? Oh, knights. So in Newfoundland, there is an alcoholic beverage, I believe it's rum, called Screech. And it is described basically as very low quality. It is horrendous, and apparently the people of Newfoundland do not drink it. Instead, they serve it to CFAs, come from abroads. And what they will do, apparently there was a lot of tremendous fun in giving it to American soldiers during the Second World War, American soldiers who were stationed here, who didn't know what to expect, and they would throw it back, and much fun and hilarity was had at laughing at their reactions. So since the 1970s, there's been this tradition of having CFAs screeched in. And there's this tradition, they recite an oath, they drink a shot of Screech, and they kiss a cod, and they become honorary Newfoundlanders. Honorary Newfies, I should say. So these Screechers, presumably, they must also make an oath to fight and die in the name of Newfoundland, and then drink some alcohol and kiss a cod. The numbers we have aren't great. We're going to... We only have 3, though. That's the worst thing. So I think if we recruit Vera, instead of actually trying to get... Instead of trying to call anyone to our aid, we'll simply just recruit Vera. So Desmond is in there as well. And Desmond, I have a feeling, will not be in there for long. Mother of God, are you any good at anything? Chieftain Kelly, we're going to keep you in there in foreign affairs. Steward isn't too bad. The mother is stone useless. Do you know what? She is a good spy master. So we will swap you with our mother, and we will then appoint somebody who actually knows the front end of a sword from the back end, and that isn't very many people. Lynn, we'll put you in there for a minute. We'll also hire a personal physician, and as Matthew Farwell is in poor health, we will put in our mother for the position instead. And finally, after all of that, we can actually unpause the game and start. We do have a number of things that we want to do immediately, however. We're going to take a decision to hold Mystical Communion. That alliance has been formed. Excellent. We will hold a Mystical Communion. So Morgan Le Fay has been contacted by the Spirit Realm and told that she is on the path to greatness. However, something has gone terribly wrong in our Mystical Communion. Today I cannot even muster the strength to rise from my bed. So we've gained 300 learning lifestyle experience, divine guidance for 5 years, and the divine guidance is to stay in bed, basically. That's great. What a bad start to our bid to take Newfoundland. We're going to have to try and recover from this by raising all of our forces. We have them under our own command. We'll set them raiding, and we're going to have to select a new commander. Lynn, our Marshal and Screecher. Now, she hasn't been on the job for long, but the mother is coming to try and heal our mystical illness. Do no more than is necessary. We're a bit brighter, so fair play to the mother. We're sending our raiders south towards Tiramara. Now, we're not actually going to get into Tiramara itself. There's Unbalyamur. We have a couple of Gaelic-sounding areas around here. Like I said, Ilan Owen is here, but we're going to predominantly hit around this region and maybe hit the coastline over here and try and push south. We're suspicious about the husband. His every move will be watched. So this is good raiding territory, and we can see that another unit has actually gone down in that direction. So unfortunately, a few places will be raided ahead of us. So the mother tells us that we don't need to worry about our husband. Let's not waste any more time. And snow is falling. We're in February. And if we had taken as our patron Sheila NaGeira, we would actually have an advantage in the snow. The figure of Sheila NaGeira is believed to be inspired by an actual family in Connacht, the O'Garas. So it could be that she's a member of the O'Gara family, or there was in the 17th century a personification of Ireland called Sheila NaGeira, and it might be a kind of a version of that. So in the same way that Éire and Unshan Van Vught are personifications of Ireland, Sheila NaGeira was a kind of a representation of Ireland, and that might have been brought to Newfoundland and turned into a Connacht princess. Speaking of our Connacht princess, she is glad to be well again. We have a small bit of gold taken. We've set sail. I was hoping to get over in this region, but it looks like... Who is this? Is this Corner Brook? Our allies have actually managed to arrive here ahead of us. So they just finished here. So we're kind of competing in the same area. We've a massive river that we can head down in this direction. Is this the American Shannon? Or would that be Mississippi? I have no idea where I am. But we can head down to Hudson and raid a ton of areas. But our army is a bit small at the moment. So possibly we're going to head for... I've actually seen a more attractive proposition, and we're just to the south of Avalon, which is a holy site of the Fog Songer faith. So we might have to try and take this region at some stage. Now, there's not much we can do about it, but thankfully the Murphys have come in. One of the O'Lories have started raiding, and it looks like they're actually going to be pushed back. And we have also managed to sway Chieftain Seamus, who we are going to offer vassalization to. So even though we are far to the south and heading further south, our realm grows. And so too does our need to reorganize the council. Chieftain Seamus will be given the position of Marshal, so we're at 4.1 piety at the moment. We assign Chieftain Seamus And we're up to 4.4 because of one of our traits. We gain increased piety by the number of powerful vassals on the council. My husband is pregnant! Wait, no, what? I think this is going to be our last raid. We've put together a good chunk of money. We do need to bring the forces back north and start planning what to do next. We've captured some more people. The army arrives home with a ton of loot just as we are called into a war by our ally, the chiefess of Corner Brook. She is moving against this region, which borders us, and this could be very good. We will accept. Very good timing. I wonder, was she looking out, waiting for us to get back? And I'm actually surprised. Our ally managed to take out a vastly larger army. We have given birth to a daughter, a new member of House NaGeira. And I think we're going to have to call her Jessica. Jessica NaGeira. May you grow to be strong and wise, my daughter. As we also manage to get a new diplomacy lifestyle, we'll go for thoughtful opinion gain from Sind Gift. We might be going for defensive pacts, even though we now have a daughter to marry out for alliances. I'm not going to lie, the screaming child absolutely terrified me when this popped up. I had no idea what was going on. I thought somebody was in the house. The apple falls. So, we are educating our son and heir Lance, and I've chosen the martial. Will you shut up? I've chosen the martial lifestyle for him. We have the option, however, to change him to our focus, which is learning. I'm going to leave him as martial, because I have a feeling we're going to need some strong martial figures going forward. And there we go, the war has been brought to an end, so be it. I'm just wondering what is going on up in this direction. Chieftain Enoch, that's new. What happened to your father? Died of old age, I'm presuming? And they are losing, because he had a very hefty army. Jory O'Rory of House O'Lory, you divil. You divil. So he actually had a substantial army, I think 1,400 or something like that. So the O'Lorys saw an opportunity to head in there. Speaking of opportunities, so honoured, so delighted is Chiefess Grace that we helped her to take a new county that she is willing to accept vassalization. And just like that, Avalon grows. And with that, we should be in a position to create the Duchy of Long Range. And it will bring us near to bankruptcy. But we can then push on and form the Kingdom of Newfoundland. Kelly Bonavista welcomes us to our new court. He's absolutely hammered out of his mind. Let them see their new queen. Let's see what kind of an apartment we have for ourselves. There we go. The Great Royal Hall of Newfoundland. We have 2 artifacts to put up around the place. The NaGeira House banner. So prestige, renown, and court grandeur. And we have the dynasty banner. There's Sheila. There's Patrick. And there is Fingol and Glooscap. I forgot to mention them. They appear in the stories of the patron gods. And Fingol is Fionn McCool. And there are legends in Newfoundland of Fionn McCool. And I think if you're of the Scots Gael culture, and you get the Salmon of Knowledge as one of your patron god choices, the story explains how Glooscap and Fingol, Glooscap helped Fingol to catch it and to eat some of it. And that gave Fingol all of the wisdom. I'm not too sure who Glooscap is based on. if it's a figure from English folklore or from Irish folklore, or if it's a creation of Newfie folklore. But yeah, we have legends of Fionn McCool running around Newfoundland. And the court has only been opened a couple of minutes, but we have the opportunity to create a building. Lookout towers, I don't think there's any other way of getting these. These are not actually on the option of buildings that we can get, but we can get lookout towers. So I think it's only possible at the moment to get it through this opinion. It's going to cost 25 gold, which means we might be going on another raid. So there we go. There's our lookout towers. Maybe we can get them now that we're big and fancy. Palisades, War Camp, Gathering Hole. Yeah, that's pretty much the same that we could get for the other region. So looks like we could only get those lookout towers through that decision. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I was hoping to expand some buildings. I was hoping to go on a whale hunt with that money. I was not expecting that we would be able to strike so quickly and get the Kingdom of Newfoundland up and running. We are going to need to put together an army to deal with these guys, because I have a feeling that they're not going to accept vassalization, and this lad most certainly 100% will not accept vassalization. I was hoping to recruit some Screechers, but we are bankrupt. We are absolutely bankrupt, and it looks like, oh no, Tiramara appears to be in the middle of a war, and actually, Donalbain is doing a-okay. His mother died from stress, so Caitlin of Tiramara, I believe she has some unique decisions, so I might come and take a look at her in a later episode, but for now, do we want to risk heading in here and causing trouble? I don't think so. I think we might have to head south, and indeed James Littlejohn has appeared, who has a claim on the kingdom that was just taken by one of the Lorries. Now, we don't have any money to actually recruit him to court, so we better try and get some together, because that would be a valuable person to have. I am trying to sway Tory, but if it's war you want, it's war you'll get. A region that we have just raided, their forces are moving back north, and they're actually going to attack our forces. Now, they have 36 gold, but we might need to leave here, because I think our forces will then be less than the forces here in this region, so they might rise up against us. There's more. There you go. That's exactly what I was worried about. They're going to hit us as well, unfortunately. We do have a bit of an advantage. I think we'll be going home. We actually ransomed back a child for 100 gold from here, so do you know what? Even though we don't have much on us, we've had a fairly good showing. Our alliance with Corner Brook helped us to establish the Kingdom of Newfoundland, but now that it has been established, that alliance is gone, as it has been absorbed into the kingdom. We have some fairly strong enemies in this direction. We're not great on money. I don't think we'd be able to recruit any mercenaries at the moment. I was hoping to find some allies down in this direction, but nothing happening. The fathomless lobstermen of Maine are hostile to us. As for the Mayflower Chowder folk of Ivyland, they consider us evil. So, in the High Chiefdom of Labrador, High Chiefess Becky, there is her daughter, Anise Mackenzie. We will organise a marriage to our son and heir, Lance O'Morgan. And to celebrate the betrothal, we will sponsor a whale hunt, which is unique to cultures that have experienced or master whalers. We've hunted whales for generations. Their carcass is a source of much profit thanks to its meat and blubber. So it costs 100 and we have a 66% chance of a success. Influenced by a variety of skills, we could make between 1 to 250 gold. So we'll call some people over from Ireland for the Newfoundland season. Good luck. The whalers return we seem happy enough. Unfortunately, while they did manage to kill a couple of whales, it was not a particularly impressive amount. We've gained 83, so we actually lost a bit of gold and didn't make any prestige. Well, we'll have to make do. And one of the ways in which we will make do is an invasion of the island of St. Pierre, because this guy, like I said, will not, under any circumstances, accept vassalization. We will seize the High Chiefdom of Avalon. Now, of course, the problem is that it's an island invasion, so we're going to have that disembarkation penalty. We should be able to deal with him. Jory has won a war against their neighbours who are trying to take a region from him. And so we have our military victory now only to siege down the capital. It looks like we could have gone in a different direction to diplomat, but I'm going to take defensive pacts in case they're needed. Independent ruler opinion is also going to be of value. We're still hoping to convince Chieftain Tori O'Rory of House Laurie to join us peacefully. We can try and sway him with a compliment. Mother of God, we don't have much to work with. I think we're just going to keep this short and professional. Our Sunlands, if we do nothing, will become shy, so we're going to have to gain some stress to make him impatient. I'd rather that than gluttonous. I think impatient would suit a future martial figure. We've managed to siege down St. Pierre in its totality. We will enforce our demands. And we have now completed the conquest of the Duchy of Avalon. I'm going to create an accolade for one of our knights, the Salted Cod. Valiant, so it'll give us some Knight Army modifiers. And rather handy, we have a successor. Usually we don't manage to get successors. Junior Courage, I was going to actually make him the accolade holder, but I think Thuggery was his one, which would be involved in Dread, so I wouldn't be much interested in that. Very unwisely, Chiefess Grace has decided to attack Grand Falls. She's trying to take this region, and there's not a hope in hell that she'll be able to do it. We have an opportunity to recruit a Newfie of a organized Jewish faith to the court. Got some solid stats. Midas touched. A very strong stewardship. I think one of our stewards at the moment is... we have to keep them there because they are a vassal. I will recruit them. And we will try and form a matrilineal marriage with our court tutor and acclaimed knight, the Salted Cod, Desmond. Fanny has actually taken over as our commander because we have no time for any of this. We need to get more money. Morgan has another daughter. The suggestion was Diane. We'll name her after our mother as Isolde. We had a good thing going here, but it looks like another group of raiders have shown up. So we're going to have to find somewhere else to head to. We are being called into a war by our allies in Labrador, who are looking to conquer Labrador West. That might be awkward. We will accept. We're not really in a position to actually join them at the moment. Until quite recently, I was worried about Jory and Tori O'Rory of House Laurie. Well, they both seem to be on the way out. Corner Brook, I think, is on the verge of taking Grand Falls. And the Murphys of Bonavista are attacking Gander. And the Lauries are doing very poorly in either of those defences at the moment. And there we go. Grand Falls has had a grand fall. The war for Labrador West is over. We were actually on the verge of sending some troops. I was going to send some troops over, and then they actually started wandering around here as though they were going to attack. So be it. And this was something that I didn't realise at the start. There was, when you pick Morgan Le Fay, you're told that you're in a patrilineal marriage. But if we look at Claude, we can see that his children are of House NaGeira, so I didn't really take much notice of that. We've just had our 4th daughter, the 3rd of this episode, and it was only then that I realised that the children born this episode are of his house. So my Jessica NaGeira reference is now totally redundant. But we actually only have the 2 members of our own house, of House NaGeira, Lance and Lillian. Now, Jory, fair play to him, has just won the war against Bonavista. So Gander is secure. I think it's Tory in Gander is A-OK. We will now immediately declare war on him to secure James Littlejohn's claim to the title. So he is the son of the former ruler of this region, was taken off of him by Jory, and we will restore him. Somebody has shown up to the court offering us exotic arms from a faraway court. Fetch my coin purse. We have 75 quid. And this is a masterwork weapon. A Glory Hound Vassal Levy contribution plus 2%. I think Corner Brook is a Grace in Corner Brook is a Glory Hound. So there you go. We're going to get some extra levies from her. Now, Jory has taken his army and has headed for Bonavista. Well, technically, yeah, we do control Bonavista. I thought he would have gone for our capital. I don't think we'll hit him before that disembarkation penalty goes. No, it just went, so we split the army in half, brought half of them up in this direction. Our son Lance, we're going to keep him as ambitious, so impatient, which I took some stress to give him. Compassionate, we left him with that. Which is actually virtuous to the Fog Singers. I didn't spot that. And we will, of course, leave him with ambitious. Greatness awaits you, Lance. Poor old Jory landed right back at his capital, which we are sieging down. Has gotten another baiting. We've managed to capture him. We could do high jiggery pokery and ransom him out and all that. We will enforce our demands. And restore the Littlejohns, who I now have to try and put on the council somewhere. It looks like he's going to get Spymaster. He's not great, but it'll keep him happy. A new guest has recently come to my court, a silver-tongued poet of local repute. They want to know what they should sing about. We could actually have them join the court. They are a poet. Sing of me. And while we're here, we will actually hold court for the first time. Chieftain Kelly of Bonavista, who recently tried to take the neighbouring county, which is now the last stronghold of Jory, because he actually created the ducal title, so he's forced his brother out the way that he can keep a hold of a county. But Chieftain Kelly comes to us, and he wants us to hire a jester by the name of Keith. I shall employ this Keith of yours. One of our Screechers, Lynn, wants the title of Master of the Horse. Go on. She is excellent for the position. Now, Keith has only been in the court for about 5 minutes, and he's already bringing in orphaned children to us. Paul Littlejohn, who has been at the court of James, who we just restored to power, and apparently James has decided to send him on to us. Thanks for that. So who is going to bring up Paul? We will put him into the hands of Thomasina, the poet that we recruited just a few moments ago. Now we're beginning to lose prestige, so we need to sort that out. But first of all, we are going to hold a mystical communion and reach out to Brother Jack. And it is another failure. What have we done wrong? We have done everything the Fae asked of us. We have nearly completed the conquest of Newfoundland. But still they are not happy. And although we're in quite ill health, we have dragged ourselves out of bed to read Thomasina's heroic account of our life we have gained Tales of Queen Morgan artifact, which gives us 5% monthly diplomacy lifestyle experience. We'll throw that there in the corner. At the moment, we're pretty much just waiting down the treaty before we go back to war with Jory. Our problem is that our next major achievement, after we take Newfoundland, is Labrador, and that is this region and this region. The problem is we're allied with this group, and they are currently at war, taking here. So if they take that, they will form the Kingdom of Labrador, and they most certainly will not accept vassalization, so it's entirely possible we're actually going to have to go to war with our son Lance's in-laws, or break that alliance. And so I think we're going to have to break that betrothal. We will spend 150 prestige and lose a lot of opinion with people who we are hoping to bring into our empire. And trying to find new allies is not exactly easy. Here is Ord Rhi Alistair of Tiaramada. I'm going to begin swaying him. Not in an attempt to organize a marriage between our son and his sister, because I think it's minus 1,000 acceptance, but we might, if we are very lucky, get him, it's unlikely, to accept an alliance. I don't think so, but you know what, we'll sway him a bit and see if we can be friends. We will compliment his unshakable faith in some unknown savior, who is actually the leader of their religions, the unknown savior. Seems to have worked. Shortly after breaking his betrothal to what will soon become the Royal House of Labrador, our son Lance has come of age, and it is time to tell him of the little fellas who have been fairly mean to me of recent. The 2 times that I've tried to commune with them, they've made me sick. He deserves to know of their power. And Lance NaGeira has become a witch. Now Labrador has just ended its war and has taken this county. We need this one, or we will need this one. It's part of what we will need to form Newfoundland and Labrador. So, now that they are at peace, we are going to take this opportunity to declare war, to conquer. Does it make a difference? Slightly more expensive to go for the duchy. So we're going to attempt a landing. We have vastly more forces. We are suffering that disembarkation penalty, but it shouldn't impact us. Adaptive traditions would probably be the best one to go for, but we will go with expeditionary warfare, and possibly push for the forced vassalization casus belli. And just like that, our siege is complete. I wonder if we could... I was going to see if we could recruit him and maybe put him on the throne, but we're not going to be able to do so. We will bring that war to an end. And here is another prisoner who seems also to be a brother of the prisoner that we just took, who we can recruit and gain a wee cook on? Sure. So we have recruited him to our court. We have removed him from his mother's guardianship. And instead, we will educate the child ourselves. Maybe even turn him into a witch. And we do actually have an outbreak of Reaper's Will, bubonic plague. What timing? Oh, what timing to involve ourselves in the affairs of Labrador. Why couldn't we have gotten Chad's Flux? That doesn't seem as bad. Our son Lance comes of age. He is unmarried. They grow up so fast. Skilled Tactician, Faithful Blade. Not too shabby in terms of his martial. And we've also been invited to Chieftess Grace's hunt. We will, of course, join. We haven't actually done any events ourselves as yet. Fanny has turned 50 and unfortunately hasn't had any children to keep her house going. We will, however, make her our caravan master. And look at the precautions that we have to take because of Jory. Or Tory, I can't remember which one it is. We're having to go out to sea and come in. We have to hire mercenary guards and a forest guide. Now, I am making one final attempt to sway him. I've given up on trying to sway the King of Tiramara, and if that fails, we will be invading as soon as that truce ends. So at the hunt, Chieftess Grace has decided on a dangerous moose hunt. Let's get out there. We spot a bunch of wildflowers. We'd like to go picking them, but we must instead keep up appearances. We will gain some prestige, lose some stress, and the success chance will increase. We have a swampy encounter with Cecil, claiming that this is his marshland. We'll get him to show us around. Okay, the success chance will decrease, but we will gain some hunter trait experience, and that's the most important thing. And considering how perilous the hunt was, it's probably for the best that the damn thing is gone. I've just gone looking for Screechers to join our military, and Cecil has showed up, or Cecil. The dude from the swamp. Fair play to him. It's literally him, Fearless Maniac. Recruit to court. The NaGeira dynasty has unlocked its first legacy, and I'm kind of unsure as what to go for. I think we're going to have a pretty wide cultural empire if we can complete all that we need to gain access to the holy sites and to form the Kingdom of Newfoundland and Labrador. So I'm actually going to take customs for the 1% cultural acceptance. Which means that I'm going to make an attempt to learn Chieftess Becky's language. Her opinion of us is quite low. It's minus 95%, or minus 95. We could try and sway her. Of course, we broke up that betrothal because I feared that we might actually end up going to war with her. So I'm not too sure now. That mightn't have been a great idea. And indeed, whether or not Becky accepts vassalization, she will be accepting vassalization one way or another. Territorial occupation, forced vassalization causes belli. Now, with that out of the way, I think we are finished with as much of the diplomacy tree as we need. And considering that it's our major strength, I think we'll go for the learning lifestyle focus. The problem is that they've decided to split between theologian and scientific. It is entirely possible, though, that we will need a chunk of piety to try and reform the fog song religion. So for now, we will start with the medicine focus. Who can say no to a small health boost? And I don't know what has swayed him. We were prepping for a war. The truce has just ended. Possibly he was seeing out his independence for as long as humanly possible. But on the 13th of October, the truce with Chieftain Jory ended. And as we prepped to go to war, we received news that he was willing to accept vassalization. I'm just looking at his traits to see, do you know what? He's not terrible. He's not terrible. We will offer him vassalization. His brother, Tory the Stout, died from bubonic plague. Well, there you go. These guys have some of the worst stats imaginable. Now, because she's not very good at the position, unfortunately, and she won't be impressed by this, we're going to have to remove Chieftess Grace as our steward and appoint High Chieftain Jory. So that has improved his opinion. I imagine hers is now into minus 30. She does have a much larger army, but we're going to have to bring Jory into the fold to begin with. Entirely possible that when Grace passes away and her lands split up, that we're going to have to try and break Corner Brook out and give it to Chieftain Jory. Or not Corner Brook, but Grand Falls. So that might cause some trouble in the future after all this woman did to help found Newfoundland. Now she has to make sacrifices in a bid to pacify Jory, the last of the Lowry house. Our daughter Lillian has come of age. She was following the diplomacy lifestyle education. She's a charismatic negotiator. And she's become a Screecher with prowess of 17. She has the robust trait that her brother, Lance, does not have. Many of her other siblings have it, but they are not members of House NaGeira. Now, she is betrothed to Chiefess Grace's son. However, I think it's entirely possible that we will break another betrothal and possibly marry her off to a knight to keep the NaGeira name going. They grow up so fast. So Chiefess Grace is going to lose 30 opinion with us for 10 years. I think that's going to put her down to -60, potentially into rebellion territory. And now I am regretting that we didn't take the blood perk for the dynasty. Instead, I was thinking about it, but I was thinking, well, we don't have all that many members of House NaGeira. We're going to marry her to our knight, Cecil, the giant that we found in a swamp. If we could get a robust giant grandchild, send the proposal. Through an event, I got a learning lifestyle perk, and as we have no stress, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the perks. So we're going to take 57 stress. I'm going to go for pedagogy. Open-minded. This is what I want. Cultural acceptance and different culture opinion plus 15. From there, I think we might as well just stay with scholar. So different faith opinion doesn't matter massively. And then we have our diplomat traits. We do need that vassalization. And I suppose we might as well just go back to defensive pacts and the embassies. We gained nothing because we've lost all of our alliances. So we've a ton of children, but we don't really have anyone that will actually form alliances with us. Now we have managed to get Becky, Chiefess Becky, down to -98. I think if we could form an alliance, like that alliance that I broke a while ago that isn't available anymore, but if we could form an alliance, that would be +20, so we'd get down to -78. If we could improve our standing with her, which is -3 at the moment, we could send her a gift. And if we could learn her language, possibly, we could get her to accept vassalization without needing to go to war, because we will have some hefty wars, including one against Tiramara. But for now, we can take pride in the fact that we have united Newfoundland. And to celebrate, we will finance some whalers to set off and hopefully bring back some money and prestige. And what was meant to be a glorious celebration of the unification of Newfoundland has turned into an utter disaster. We sent out some whalers to try and get some money and prestige for us, and instead they have brought us back nothing but stress and failure. The unification of Newfoundland went a bit smoother than expected, but Morgan Le Fay now finds herself stressed and isolated. She has no alliances, and she's currently trying to learn a language to hopefully, peacefully vassalize Labrador. If that fails, then it will be war, and there will be 2 wars to the south to bring in 2 Fogsong holy sites. And she's also going to have to try and get rid of some of that stress, maybe go on a hunt, or maybe go on a tour and visit some sites in post-apocalyptic Canada. I've had good fun with this mod. I really enjoy this, and I really enjoy the aspects of Irish culture that we've seen. I'm going to need some soldiers for the next episode, so if you haven't done so already, drink some rum and kiss a fish. Leave a like as well while you're at it. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and until the next one, may Father Patrick and Brother Jack protect you from the little fellas, those bastards.